Coming up on show 625, the VW ID.3 goes into production soon, Mercedes EQS, and a coal miner calls time. Good morning, good afternoon or good evening, wherever you're listening around the world. Welcome to EV News Daily. This is the edition for Tuesday 29th of October. My name is Martyn Lee, and I go through every EV story that I can find and trawl through hours of online articles to bring you, hopefully, 10-15 minutes of the essential electric car, clean energy news every single day. Thank you to the team at MEB.com for helping me make this show. Somebody sent me an email, actually, earlier in the week and addressed it to me at MyEV. So they forwarded it on. Thank you very much if that was you sending me an email. You can always email this show at hello@evnewsdaily.com, but if you do send one to, I don't know what the address was, martin@myev.com, the team do forward it on. So thank you very much to them. Oh, by the way, if you're in the USA and you haven't checked them out yet, connecting buyers and sellers and helping you learn more about EVs. So, mention this at the beginning of the show, Volkswagen officially starting production of the ID.3 on Monday. The November the 4th date is at the Zwickau plant in Germany. A big day for Volkswagen. They've been converting the plant to accommodate EVs based on the all-new MEB pure electric platform since way back, actually, in 2018. According to InsideEVs, the German manufacturer promised that the Zwickau plant will be the biggest all-electric car factory in Europe. They have a target of 330,000 cars per year, and 6 MEB-based models are expected by the end of next year. No, actually, it's 2021, I think, that you get 6 models by the end of. The first car, though, is the ID.3, and that's produced at the site. But when you think about it, customers don't get their cars till next summer. So when I say production starting, I mean that as in, I imagine they'll be testing tools, machines, paint shop, processing, evaluation cars, perhaps even springtime try and get cars into the hands of a few people, maybe employees. But when I say production is starting, I do not mean mass production of the car. However, great news that another big manufacturer is going to start to be putting batteries into cars that we can all drive. Just not yet. Let's move on to Tesla. They have adjusted the listed range of the S and the X. They're now listing, I mentioned this story earlier in the week, they're now listing the vehicle's actual range on the Design Studio. Now, with this change, the Model S long range is officially listed on the US site with a range of 373. Long range Model X, 328. According to Teslarati. On the UK site that I'm looking at right now, I can see Model S long range, slightly more, 379, and performance of the Model S down to 367. Not that it's down, but as in down compared to long range model. It's interesting because I always look at the WLTP number and take off 8 to 10% and you get the US EPA number. But when you think about it, actually, and that does stand for, I would say, most cases, actually, when you get the European WLTP range, you can normally do 8 to 10% off and get somewhere near what the EPA range will eventually work out if the car is then slightly later getting to the US. But when you think about Model S 373 in the US EPA range, WLTP 379, that difference of 7 miles is negligible. So, I wonder why. The article continues about Tesla's competitors, particularly the Porsche Taycan, the Audi e-tron. They come with batteries that are marginally smaller than the long-range S and the X, and yet their range is in the 200s, and some of them scraping into the 200s. Tesla, on the other hand, is squeezing over 370 miles of range per charge of a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack. You know what, later in the week I might go through line by line. It was either yesterday's show or earlier in the week, maybe over the weekend, we were talking about a former car person and everyone's favourites car granddad, who seems like he's always just been woken up from his afternoon nap to make a comment about cars. He was saying that nobody will buy the Model Y. Bless him. Nobody will buy the Model Y. And also, actually, later in that, I didn't tell you the whole He spoke for 2-3 minutes. I didn't tell you the whole thing. But he goes on to talk about how Tesla don't have an advantage because anybody can just get a 100 kilowatt hour battery and put it in a car. He says anyone can get a big battery and put it in a car. Oh, Bobby boy, it's all about what you do with what you've got. As we can see there, the efficiency of those Tesla models is really impressive. Reminds me also of a Top Gear video that was out. It must be in the last couple of days because I keep seeing it being retweeted. They went to Germany with the long-range Model S. No, I'm sorry, the performance Model S, of which they called the Model S Ludicrous Plus in the description of the video. Now, the Model S Ludicrous Plus doesn't exist, but anyway, they took the it's all right. They took the Model S Performance to the Autobahn with the Taycan Turbo S, and actually, what they did was a bit of back of a napkin science, but they got to the Autobahn, floored it, got to the top speed of both cars, took a reading of what the watt hours per mile are, and then said, actually, with the battery size, how far could you go if you were going at top speed in both of those cars? Kind of interesting. There's too many holes in that for it to be an apples-to-apples comparison in terms of the road. It would need to be exactly the same road surface and gradient and weather. Anyway, the result was that at flat-out speed, the Taycan, they reckon, would do 65 miles. And at Autobahn speeds, which is, 155 miles an hour for the I think they limit, the Model S would do 83 miles compared to the Taycan 65 miles. Does have a slightly bigger battery, of course. That doesn't really mean anything. It's just a bit of fun that Top Gear were doing. And it was kind of an interesting way of thinking about it. Actually, if you're going to drive with your foot hard down on the Autobahn, how far could you get? Well, there we go. Another really interesting video to watch, by the way, whilst we're talking about that, if you talk about Autobahn videos, is Bjorn Nieland's video of his Model 3, where he does 27, I watched it over the weekend, so my mind is fading, it's 27 launches at about 2 a.m. on the Autobahn, so no other cars around, and he was doing 0 to 200 kilometers an hour, and then back to about 10 k's, not quite a full, it was a rolling start, and he did it over and over again. There was no fade. Just at the very end, the temperatures were changing and the car was cooling itself down, and it was saying, actually, we don't know what test conditions the Porsche Taycan was done under when Johnny did his fully charged video and saying, oh, this is the only car that can do repeated launches. But certainly for Bjorn in his Model 3, that was no problem at all to do almost 30 repeated launches. But it does seem to be one of those old wives' tales that is out there. Now it's out there that the journalists have kind of fallen for, because even in this Top Gear video, and Jack, the presenter, he knows his stuff, he's very good. Even he says that the Porsche Taycan is about the same as the Model S in the quarter-mile drag race, but we all know the Model S couldn't do that over and over again and would be fading. And you think, no, that's the Model S of 2012, maybe. Raven Edition now, so much has changed. It's just factually incorrect, but that has pervaded almost the minds of auto journalists now. So it's kind of interesting. The efficiency of the Teslas just keeps getting better and better. Let's talk about Mercedes. The EQS has been spied, trying to conceal its curves. The Mercedes-Benz EQS is a car that's, just by its looks, I'm a huge fan of. Upcoming flagship EV, spy shot seen in its current development, a glimpse into the cabin as well, says Chris Breeze from Motor One. In profile, EQS is a sleek shape with an arching roofline. It's got pop-out door handles, short rear, and nice, really lovely Mercedes styling, digital instrument cluster, tablet display. Mercedes keeps the centre stack under a fabric cover, but recent interior designs from real top-end Mercs would make you think that there's going to be some high-tech stuff in there for the HVAC settings. EQS is going to be out next year in 2020, latter half of the year. A major part of Mercedes' 10 billion euro, it's 11 billion US dollar investment into EVs. The feedback on this podcast, when I asked you recently what sort of things do you want to hear, was do a bit more energy stuff, because we are interested in how we charge our EV. Okay, Murray Energy is the US's largest privately owned coal producer. It's led by an outspoken Trump ally called Robert Murray, and they've just filed for Chapter 11 protection as the fossil fuels role in the country's energy mix continues to diminish, says website mining.com. And I would think they know a lot more about these things than I do. The Ohio-based miner, the 8th coal company over the last year to hit the skids, says it's reached a restructuring agreement with their lenders, restructuring almost $3 billion in debt. US coal exports have dropped to 20.9 million tons in the third quarter, according to the country's Energy Information Administration. It's a huge fall. It's a 28% fall compared to the same time last year. And so, obviously, we think about the people who are working and the people who aren't the multimillionaires that own these companies, the people that need jobs. But surely they must see the writing on the wall. I mean, we all did when, regardless of your politics, you have someone who was campaigning for the presidency saying, I'm bringing back coal. Any reasonable person would go, well, look, that particular campaign issue is slightly bonkers by quite a long way. So, surely now the rate of change is so fast. Anybody still working in any part of the fossil fuel industry knows the writing's on the wall. I mean, even if they've got a few more years yet, it's not like this isn't like it's a straight line growth. This is like a hockey stick curve. This is the rate of change. Let's move on. Let's talk buses. Oh, I love an electric bus for me. 2019 may well be remembered as the year when the electric bus sales volumes ramped up. In 2018, the European electric bus market increased by almost half, actually. 48% was big compared to the previous year. And yet in the first 9 months of this year, there's been a 100% increase, reports sustainable-bus.com. That's right, there is a website entirely dedicated to sustainable electric bus travel, and it's already in my favourites. Well, the figures on alternative drivelines, actually, if you look at the bigger picture, hybrid buses, pretty constant. No one's really buying those. Natural gas buses had growth in 2017, and then not much has been done. Fuel cell buses, well, brace yourself. In Europe, there was 1 in 2016. That went to 4 in 2017. And then sadly, no more in 2018. Awkward. On the other hand, EV buses are growing very steadily. As of last month, there are 1,123 new electric buses registered, and there's room for so much further growth. The last few months of the year are usually large for registration, so we'll continue to watch that. Tesla's Model 3 has become the first all-electric car to be approved as an official New York City yellow cab, according to the list of approved vehicles which gets published online, and an electric reader, who is Brent Caswell, sent them a screenshot pointing out the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission has now approved the Model 3 to be a yellow cab. Weirdly, Model 3 doesn't qualify for what is known as the alternative fuel medallion, because not because it doesn't qualify, but because the rules for it to qualify, nobody thought about putting in the category all-electric vehicles. So it's not that it can't qualify, it's that by playing the rules of the game, nobody thought that there would be any EVs needing to go in that category. So someone is very quickly rewriting some rules somewhere, I imagine. More people are starting to consider EVs for taxis, especially the Model 3. Really long range, great space, super high tech, great for your customers as well. Let's get on to our question of the week this week, set by myev.com and set by fellow listener Martin Young. What were some of your biggest surprises about living with an electric vehicle when you bought one? Please let me know. Email me, hello@evnewsdaily.com, or you can leave a comment on Facebook and YouTube. There are 256 patrons of the podcast. Keep me going. Thank you so much. My exec producers, my partners, and my premium partners. Phil Roberts of Electric Future, Brad Crosby and Avid Technology. If you'd like to get any of the archive shows, there are 624 of them on the archive for free. The new shows come at you first and free and automatically if you are a subscriber, and it's a free subscription. So open up your favourite podcast app, and if you haven't got one yet, grab your phone or grab your tablet, go to the App Store for it, type in podcast apps if you're new to podcasting and you're listening to this, I don't know, on the internet or something, and download an app, and then search EV News Daily, hit subscribe. You get it every day. And if you want to catch up on the socials with me, search EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow, and remember, there's no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.